All right, so it's 2015, February 26th. This is the WIKISPEED stand-up. Um, I'll go ahead and get us started if y'all don't mind. I'll do what we did last week, what I plan on doing next week, and any blocks that I have. So last week, I um, I focused mostly on the light car challenge. Um, got several tasks done with that, which actually did. We have a separate stand-up going for that. Um, So the only really thing I did other than that, and actually I'll take this will be my demo. Hopefully I can do this. Let's see if y'all can see this. It's backwards. Okay, so it's backwards, but that's my Kanban board there, and the yellow task are light card challenge, the orange task are general wiki speed, and actually because it's backwards, the to do column's on the right hand side. As y'all see it, I believe, possibly. At least it's showing up that way on my screen. So you can see I basically did like car challenge stuff. And other than that, I'm working on determining the correct gauge of the wire to use for these extension harnesses. I pretty much determined that 18 gauge was too big, or bigger than the original anyway. I don't know that it's too big. And I paired up with Michael a little bit on that to try to figure out how to source the shielded wires and also how they work. I wasn't familiar with that. For next week, for sprint planning, continue to focus on the light car challenge, and hopefully areas where it overlaps with the post office bid, but um, we're not sure we're gonna have enough time. So focusing on the light car, and that would be nice to have. I'm going to update my Kanban board y'all just saw there with my light car sprint that I just did. I don't have any of that in the to-do list yet. Hopefully, I can order the wire to build the harness extension prototype if I can figure out exactly what I need. And something I did not get to that I think was our process improvement last week was setting up a Git account for Arduino code. I didn't do anything with that, so hopefully I can knock that out real quick one day. And I have to check on the join the team form. I almost completely forgot, but I remember an email from earlier this week that somebody tried to join the team and it wasn't working for them, I guess. So I got to see if something's going on with it. I just had somebody test and it seems to be working, but anyway, I'll look into that. And the only blocks I have are again not exactly sure what gauge wire is used on the existing wire harness for the accelerator pedals. Um, it's smaller than 18. I know that. And I also am not sure because the length of the wire, if I shouldn't even be matching what's there, if it should be a little bit thicker anyway. So that's it for me. Who would like to go next?
Well, I can break with tradition and not go last. So
You can
is
go
that your
first.
level? Okay. Was that go first?
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Okay. Done this week. I bought an electronic torque wrench adapter. So you put it onto a straight bar and it shows you foot-pounds of torque. I'm trying to come up with a way to put that into my drill press so that I can check out how much torque I'm getting out of the little test motor I'm using for the cheap AC controller. And I did get the quick calculation for the pulse pattern done with 3 different torque settings, but I have not completed the testing. I'm having some trouble with code. And we're going to work on the light car challenge. Next week, I'm going to solder the prototype of the zero cross circuit. At least I hope I will, and post a demo on it. And mostly I'm going to be working on the light car challenge, trying to get some more of the paperwork done. Whatever parts Chris isn't doing, I guess. No blocks, and I don't think we're doing retrospective and stuff yet.
Thanks, Michael. Did you want to go next, Milo?
Yeah, sure. I actually got quite a bit done despite the fact that the week was pretty horrible. I got engine module done. There's very few things that need done. It needs the shifter connected, and it needs yeah, that's pretty much it. It's pretty much ready to go. And along the same line that Chris was talking about, I figured out that 18 gauge wire works just fine, even if it's not insulated, at least under the current test conditions. So that is pretty phenomenal. I got the car outside, the blue car. The windows rolled up manually because they didn't roll them up before disconnecting the wires. It is now outside. The garage is a little bit cleaner, and I think that pretty much summarizes the main things. Also did some stuff on the light car, working on a CAD prototype, and been struggling around with my CAD program that seems to be having disappearing dialog boxes and such. Part of the reason why my week is going bad. Plus the cold that I now have. Sorry. This is all recorded and people are going to be like watching me complain. I guess, is Lauren going next?
Did you do what you plan on doing next week also?
I really never know what I'm going to do from one week to next. I'm going to be working on the CAD some more. Hopefully get the aeroshell worked out, a more aerodynamic version preferably, and the interior module and a few other things, details and such to make it look more presentable than all our competition. Yay. And that's the main priority. And then we're going to take the car number 1 and we're going to put this engine module that's now complete into it. And we're going to do a bunch of test drives. And then we're going to finish up car number 8. It needs like 10 more holes drilled, and then it just needs bolted together. The 4 pieces that hold it together needs bolted onto the 2 side rails. You guys seen it a couple minutes ago that they're like sitting there. Yeah, in the background. And yeah, that's about all, I think.
Awesome. Do you have any blocks?
No, not really.
Good deal. Then I think that leaves you, Lauren.
Yeah, let's see. I didn't do anything this week. Blocks I was sick and I still can't talk very well. What I'm planning to do is get back involved in the next week or two, and that's it.
Well, other than being sick, do you have any blocks?
We're like buddies.
Nope.
Okay, good deal. Well, I think that brings us to retrospective. I'll go ahead and kick us off for that too.
Is Matt still on the call or not?
No, he's not. He dropped off after the light car stand-up was done.
Chris, you're still muted.
You're right. Thank you. Yeah, no, he is not. He jumped off after the light car challenge. Well, I'm sorry, light car stand-up was done. So I guess that brings us to retrospective, and like I said, I'll kick us off. So maybe a 7 for me. My ability to contribute to the team, mostly because I think I pulled more into the last sprint than I could possibly do, and the reason being that there were some what would be referred to as incidentals that came up, things that came up that I had not planned for. Some of that was related to being the scrum master of the light car challenge team. So a little more stuff came up than I expected to deal with on the scrum master side. So hopefully I can learn from that. And I'd say maybe a 9 for the team, because I mean it's awesome, definitely, to see every little aspect of development in every direction, moving steadily forward. So and I don't have anything written down for a process improvement this week. So who would like to go next?
Well, I'll take the next one. Retrospective for me, I'm gonna give myself a 6 because I didn't really get I didn't even get 60% of stuff done that I was going to do. And for the team, I'm going to go with a 9.5 because we have a motor module and it actually runs, which is good. And it's something that we haven't had for way, way, way too long. So progress is progress. Must celebrate it when we get it. And I guess that's about it for me. I don't have a process improvement either.
I give myself a 10 because I had most to do with the fact that the engine module is complete. And I give the team a 9.5 because everyone seemed to be doing something this week, so that's a good thing. Plus, we have lots of people on the call, so that's nice.
Do you have a
Joe was on.
suggestion for a process improvement that we could do as a team together?
We need better communication on the light team or light car team, but other than that, I think everything's good.
Cool deal.
You know, like before, I didn't really even know what I needed to get done or whatever, you know. But now I have something that you guys actually want me to do, so that's good.
Good deal. So I think that leaves you, Lauren.
Yeah, not applicable for me and 10 for the team. And process improvement, yeah, defer to whatever you're doing.
I would restate Milo's then as our process improvement that maybe better communication overall. I don't know exactly how we would implement that, but definitely it's being just a distributed team is a challenge. It's a challenge that Scrum tries to shy away from. The best way to run a Scrum team is in the same room, right next to each other, working together. So, but yeah, if there was maybe some way to improve communication or quick communication between a volunteer distributed team that somebody has any suggestions on, that would be awesome.
Considering that it's such a small team, a dictatorship would work well. You just tell us what we need to get done, and we get it done.
On the light car challenge, yeah, possibly, but for WIKISPEED overall, that I don't know how well that would work.
Oh, not so well. You wouldn't have any volunteers left. I'm just saying for, just the light car.
Good deal. Okay, well, I think that wraps up our essential ceremonies. And does anybody on the call have any thing they would like to discuss for crosstalk or open discussion? Actually, I'll start off saying that is awesome. Not only the fact that the engine module is running, but that you were able to build that extension and get the accelerator pedal functioning as well.
I think we should test my makeshift rainbow cord over there on the road, which we're going to do this week, and then see if it works. Because why waste money on a more expensive cord when that basic 18 will do just fine,
Yeah, absolutely.
And I spotted those connections because the connector crimps on those are so stupidly weak. The crimps that hold those things on are so weak. Some of them were like sliding. So
yeah,
I ended up soldering them.
That has to do, I think, I was reading about this today. So I think finding on the wire crimper the correct one for the size of wire that you're using is one part of that, to getting it crimp tight enough. And then there's also on those terminals, there should be two tabs. There's a tab that attaches to the wire, and then there's another larger tab that goes around the wire seal that holds the wire seal and the wire in place. And there's another that I think that's like the number 5 normally on the wire crimper. But no, I was reading that soldering not necessarily better because the vibration in a car can actually cause that solder to break loose. That the crimp should be good enough to hold the wire in place.
Well, if the crimp is good enough to hold it in place, the crimp plus soldering would work just fine.
Right, but the vibration in the car, the suggestion anyway I'd read today was the vibration of the car can actually cause the solder to break to fail.
The rosin in the solder actually wicks up inside the copper, and it draws the solder in with it. And when it makes the copper more brittle so that it can't just wiggle around, it actually bends back and forth until it breaks. Those crimp connectors look like cheap pieces of crap, but they're actually better than soldering, believe it or not. It took a long time for someone to convince me of it, but it works better.
I don't have experience with either, but
You are once also ignorant.
Yeah, I don't have experience with either, but I did the article I was reading on it. The person definitely sounded like they had the experience that they had learned their lesson on it.
I just did what seemed logical to me, you know.
And it seems logical to a lot of people. That's why it's so hard. That's why there's articles about that in pretty much every magazine, like once a year.
Exactly.
No one believes it unless they're shown, basically.
Yeah, in fact, when I was first looking at this as something that needed to be completed, I was thinking soldering's definitely going to be better. I mean, why would it not be? But it does make sense. So
But if you're going directly onto a PCB, it's still better to solder it since the wire isn't actually going to be moving, correct?
yes, yeah, it's just in the automotive application of a wire harness that the solder it doesn't have properties that work well with that application.
I mean, when we're doing our Arduino, we can solder to the Arduino.
You definitely want to, yeah. At that point, you definitely want to solder to it because I mean, any kind of plug-in pin with vibration is going to have a better chance of coming out than a solder would.
The square pins they're not stranded wires, so they don't wick up the solder inside, and they don't flex. So it's not really applicable to the solder posts. But the finely stranded wire, the stuff that you can bend real easy, has issues with it.
Hey, I had a question for you, Michael, because I think you have one of these pedals, and I don't think you may not have the wire harness, but do you have any idea what the gauge is on the wire that goes to that accelerator pedal?
I was actually just going to walk downstairs and get a hold of the pedal and strip off a little bit more cable with my wire strippers and see which side it ends up being.
If you don't mind, if you could just shoot me an email, or I mean, hell, there's a Carica card for it in the Linwood shop board or just anywhere, if you can determine what it is. And also, would your recommendation to be actually to use a slightly thicker wire since I'm going with a fairly long cable, or do you think that the wire that's there, should I match the gauge of the wire or should I go slightly thicker? Is the question, I guess.
There's no current that I can tell going through that wire, milliamps maybe. So matching the gauge is fine.
Okay.
Even slightly lighter gauge would probably be just fine as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'd prefer to match it just because I'm assuming there's a reason they chose that gauge.
Just one thing. You guys told me that it couldn't go over 10 feet because of signal degradation. I have unshielded cable and it's going 12.5.
No. I think you may have misunderstood what I was saying. I was saying because of the length of it that there's a possibility with it not being shielded that you'll get not signal degradation. Or I'm not the one that said that anyway, but that could get interference from other devices. Okay, but no, I mean I don't think it would be an issue. I mean I'm sure there is a length at which it would start to cause a problem. But
I bet you could go 40. I bet you could go 40 to 100 feet before you start having signal if you have an insulated cable.
It's possible. The original user story that was given to me was 10 feet. I think it's actually 3 meters, which is what 9.8 feet or something like that. But I think that's just kind of Joe's the one that gave it to me, and I think it was chosen as basically the longest possible cable that would be needed based on the size of the chassis and maybe anywhere the engine's mounted. I don't know. Yeah. But it's based on where the engine's mounted and where the pedal's going to be, and probably a little extra space.
We need 11 feet to go all the way through the body and then down and then over and then to the pedal. You know.
Well, that's good to know. So when I get around to building mine, I'll build it at least 11 feet, maybe 12 feet. So
I figured 12.5 would be plenty, but I think we can get by with 11. I think that would be about the right length. We got to get it all situated to see exactly where it's going to end up because it might be mounted a little bit higher, so you wouldn't have to go as far down if that's what I'm saying.
Right. I can just easily make it 12.5 feet or in any distance. It's not going to change what my process is on making it.
A little on the end.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Did Lauren
what else we need to talk about?
I don't have anything else to add, so y'all feel free.
Lauren?
I don't have anything else.
No, I was saying, did you want to see the engine run?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I definitely do, because I stepped out earlier when you did that.
All right.
In a minute.
I hate this camera stand. It's pathetic.
Yes.
Just demonstrating all the way through the ranges, All throttle positions.
Nice sound.
That is spectacular.
Yeah, the muffler not being there sure makes it loud. I'm looking forward to a setup where we have just a positive rail and a negative rail going all the way around the car, make a complete loop, and an electric engine in the front, an electric engine in the rear, with some probably hydraulic braking system for, getting to go around the corners faster, then all-wheel steering. So that when you go around the corners, these tires go this way, these tires go this way, so you don't have to drift to get the rounded effect.
That sounds like it would be a lot of fun, but I think I'd want to be by myself on the track when I tested it.
The first time, anyway.
Well, maybe the first dozen times.
There are production cars that use all-wheel steering, aren't there? I think I've heard of that before. The back wheels turn slightly. No, they don't turn near to the degree that the front wheels are turning.
They work on loaders.
It works on tractors too, but tractors don't go very fast.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A loader is basically a tractor with a boom on the front.
Is there anything else we need to talk about, guys?
I said I don't have anything. If we want to go ahead and wrap it up, I can go ahead and get this recording up on YouTube tonight.
With all our ramblings and everything.
That's the best part.
Okay, guys. I will try to get that gauge of wire for you, Chris, here tonight, and we'll probably talk to all of you fairly soon here.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll see all y'all at least next week. See all the amazing things we got done.
I would personally recommend going a size up on the wire. Whatever size it is, at least one wire size up. That way we don't have to worry about it being longer than 3 meters.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's
Make sure we don't have any loss at all.
Right. Yeah, it'd probably be a little more durable too. On the thickness
and that's another thing. I like building things more robust than the original.
Yeah, I just don't have a reference point. I mean, I was able to get my head under the dashboard and look at the cable, but I didn't get an actual gauge on it. So I'd like to have a reference point to make a decision off of.
Wouldn't all-wheel electric just be so awesome with regenerative braking and everything?
Definitely.
It just scares me a little bit because it's all steer by wire, drive by wire, brake by wire.
Die by wire.
You have to have really, really reliable system and really, really reliable communication.
It's called built-in redundancy.
If one wheel wants to turn one way and one wheel wants to turn the other way, that's not redundant. That's voting.
That's our current political system in general.
I'm not going to disagree with that one.
Even though you're in Canada, right?
Yeah, well, we have different names for the parties, but they still don't go the same direction.
And are they bought out by the corporations there too?
One of them more than the other.
See,
That's
I
about the
think
same.
Very similar.
I think what they need to do is they need to have them wear those spandex shirts that have the sponsors written on them. You know, so you have the Koch brothers here, and then you have like Pepsi and
So you want to
Solyndra.
make it, you want to make it more like wrestling then?
I'm just saying people would be more aware of who they're voting for if they know what the person actually represents.
Somehow I don't think they'd be truthful about that either.
Probably not. That's why it's not happening already.
All right, guys, we'll talk to you later.
All right. Peace out.
Bye.
Good night.